Hello and welcome. Welcome back to the 21st episode, and again, warm welcome to Skåne. As we leave the depot on board a brand new train called Trolle, we have the Baltic Sea on the right and the city of Trelleborg to the left. Sweden's most southern city. It's named after a type of Viking fortresses, Trelleborgs, that can be found in Denmark and Skåne, and similar fortresses are quite common in northern Germany and Friesland, in the Netherlands as well. The city of Trelleborg was first mentioned as a town in 1257 and was given as a dowry to the Swedish king Valdemar in 1260 when he married the Danish princess Sofia. And we have an autosave. So from the left comes the connection from Trelleborg Upper Station, or Övre, and the future connection to Malmö. And to the sharp left, the future connection to Malmö Continental Railway, and straight ahead the future Trelleborg-Rydgårds Railway. Trelleborg lost the struggle to Malmö as a center of trade in the south and lost its town privileges in 1619. It continued as a large village with some illegal trading, as you were not allowed to trade outside cities, until being re-established as a town in 1867, and quickly became Sweden's gateway to the continent. To the left are the church and tumuli at Gyllehögarna. The 4 burial mounds are dated to the Bronze Age and are believed to be magic. The trolls danced inside one of them on Maudi Thursday and Christmas Eve. And we are getting close to the station in Fjäringslöv, which is surrounded by the southern plain, Söderslätt, Sweden's most fertile area. This village never grew into anything big, but an example of what the railway could do. The arrival of the railway brought a connection to the outside world. The local farmers could get their produce to nearby towns, such as Trelleborg, Lund, Malmö. They got the chance to compete with the farmers just outside the city walls, and the opportunity to get better paid for the small surplus that they produced. It was a revolution for the countryside, but the type of revolution that is quickly forgotten and never mentioned in history books. So we are approaching the next village, the next station, which is Alstad, and from an industrial standpoint it's a combination of the stations Alstad and Marieberg, with a narrow gauge system feeding the local brickworks, with clay from a nearby fen or a small muddy lake. And this village, though, did grow quickly into a small center in the area with a hotel, meat production, and a brickwork, variety of shops. And we'd reached a red light before we can continue towards Svedala. When Lund Trelleborg Railway arrived here in 1875, there was a church, some farms, not much more in Alstad. But that did change, and it changed back again in the 20th century. It all closed down: the brickworks, the meat production, the hotel, the shops, and in 1960 the railway closed as well. So the area were to last for 85 years. And Alstad was again just a small village with a medieval church. And so we are moving again. Green light, and off we go. We're heading for Svedala station, and for more information on Svedala, you need to have a look at the 19th episode covering Malmö-Ystad Railway, the Baron's Line, where more info can be found about Svedala. Trelleborg saw Malmö as its big rival, and when the new town planned its first railway connection, Malmö was just out of the question. So instead Trelleborg connected to the southern main line at Lund, and through the junction at Svedala got connections to both Ystad and Malmö, as we are here crossing Malmö-Ystad Railway. Timetable controlled ferry traffic opened between Trelleborg and Germany in 1897, and train ferries from 1909. Trelleborg had quickly become Sweden's gateway to Europe, and Lund Trelleborg Railway was really important in the early years, but the two railways later built from Malmö won the battle. So the LTJ, Lund Trelleborgs Railway, was soon to be the cousin from the countryside, moving some locally produced foodstuffs and a decreasing number of passengers. And the line straight ahead there continues then to Ystad, of course. And again we have a red light. Not the best of luck with those today, I guess. So the last crop to keep the local lines alive in Skåne with some kind of produce to move around was sugar beets. But in the end of the 1950s that moved over to trucks in general, and there was no longer anything to keep the lines profitable, and they would close down one by one. The countryside slowly went back to being just countryside again. The traces after lost railways soon disappeared, as did the memories along people in the villages. And we are meeting our sister train, Trelleborg. When the LTJ opened, the money had run out, and a temporary station was built in Trelleborg, with the last pennies remaining in the coffers, and that stayed on for 20 years. But after 20 years they built a grandiose station with a huge glass, steel and brick shed. It was open to triumph over Skåne's other main stations, and it did. Small little line with the biggest station. And to the right is soon Klågerup Castle. Sorry, left. The left is Klågerup Castle, or well, right, because we turned around. The estate is known since the 12th century, and the current castle was built in 1858. So it's just slightly older than the railway. And today it houses a doll museum. On the left comes the future Malmö-Genarps railway, and we are meeting our other sister train, the freight train on the line, which is headed by the engine Agard, probably named after the scientist Carl Adolf Agard, professor at Lund University in the early 19th century. He was professor in mathematics, botany and practical economy, and elected to parliament as a priest and later bishop in Karlstad. Klågerup itself is mainly known for the peasant rising in 1811, when cavalry from Malmö was sent in, killing 30 revolting farmers. And the line going off to the right is continuing to Genarp. So we are about to cross Segeå. And we are heading towards Staffanstorp. Staffanstorp is a village with a 12th century church, and after the arrival of the railroad it had a large sugar mill built, and the village quickly grew in size into a small town. And from the left there came the future Malmö Tomelilla railway, and it will leave to the right north of the station and going almost over the churchyard. Staffanstorp is today a large village with a good road and bus connections, and is part of the greater Malmö Lund area, and it grew into almost a small town by itself. And just northwest of Staffanstorp, to the left up here, as we pass over Höjeå, is the archaeological site Uppåkra, where one of the largest cities in the Viking world was placed. The city was abandoned around the year 1000 AD, just after Lund was founded a few kilometers to the north. To the right here is Högvall station, which was the end station for the future Lund Trelleborgs railway, built on the edge of the city park. And again we have a train meeting. This time it's one of the trains on the southern main line. There is still a narrow entrance from the south into Lund station, where the trains pass very close to houses, and the AI has represented that well in this game actually, building the houses just on the edge of the railway. Lund was founded around 990 AD. Had a bishop from 1060, and from 1103 the seat of the Nordic archbishop, and from 1425 the first university in the Nordic countries. When the railway arrived in 1856, part of the old town was demolished to give room for the station area, despite being a town of only 7,000 or 8,000 people and plenty of countryside a few hundred meters away. And as we look from the bridge in Lund, looking south, we end this episode. So that was all from Lund Trelleborgs Railway. Thank you for watching, and see you soon again.